Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Emily and today I'm going to be sharing with you a spell, a working that I decided to do for myself alongside this dark moon in Aquarius and ahead of the new moon in Aquarius. The moon is actually in Capricorn before it switches to Aquarius ahead of the new moon. Some people do like to work with the dark moon and the new moon as one. I do prefer to work with the dark moon just before the new moon, and I use the dark moon often to release and surrender and go inwards. Then the new moon I like to use for setting intentions. However, sometimes there is still a lot of release work that needs to happen at the new moon as well. So this working is a spell, a candle spell for healing and to release grief and trauma. And this is a kind of spell that can be done really at any time you need to do it, but ideally around the full moon or the dark moon or the waning moon is perfect. So often when I create spell workings, I do work quite intuitively, although I do have a plan ahead of time. And here I have set up my space so that I have everything I think I'm going to need. And I have also cleansed myself, and I have cleansed my space with some rosemary, which is really good for remembrance and also for faithfulness and loyalty, and that is in this context to the self, so that it reminds me of sort of strength and fortitude. I will just say that you can do a working like this with whatever works for you, with whatever correspondences make sense for you, although I will leave a list of the ingredients that I have used in this working down below in the description box should you want to refer to it. So for this working I am going to be using 2 tea lights, and I have some handmade soy wax tea lights that are better for the environment that I like to use, and one of the tea lights goes into the oil burner, and in the oil burner at the top I have just some soy wax with a few essential oils that, to be honest, I can't remember what is in there. And I'm doing one of these charcoal briquettes, which I don't often do, but I do like to burn some incense, and I am using this beautiful incense from Joey Morris's Starry Eyed Supplies, and it is one of the Morrigan incenses, so I will leave that below. As mentioned previously, I also used a handmade smoke cleansing bundle, which I just put together myself, and it's just garden rosemary, so I use that to cleanse myself and my space after I'd washed and cleansed myself physically. So I'm also using here several cauldrons. One is for my incense, another one is off to the right, and that will be used to hold one of my candles, and then I also have a cauldron mug which I'm going to use as a floating candle kind of healing bath that I'm going to float some herbs into. I have an acorn that I foraged myself from my local woodland area, and I have a little seashell which I also collected myself. These are symbolic representations of vessels that really fit with my intention for this working. I also have my Selenite wand and a blue beeswax candle for healing, and I'm using a donated crow feather as well just to waft the smoke around the space. And I'm taking a good amount of time just to ground and center and create a sort of sacred space for myself. So first I'm going to go ahead and start cleansing all of the items that I intend to use. So for this I do tend to hold the items through the smoke and allow the smoke to waft around them, and I speak out loud words of intention. Usually I will say some words to the effect of, "As I will it, so shall it be." I cleanse this candle of any negative energies, any residual energies that aren't wanted, and I energize and empower this candle to be used in this working for healing and for releasing trauma and grief and allowing myself to process these emotions. My incense has gone out, and I think it is because the soil at the bottom of the cauldron is slightly too damp, so I'm going to light a stick incense instead. This is also one of Joey Morris's stick incenses. This is Dark Queen. So one of the things that I'm sure you'll probably know is that things don't always go to plan. So I am using this stick incense now instead, and I'm just relighting my rosemary and using the smoke from that smoke bundle to cleanse the remaining items in the same way. So next I'm going to take the blue beeswax candle. This is a little bit difficult to inscribe, but I do try my best, and I'm just using a skewer, and I am carving onto it my intentions for releasing trauma and grief, and then also to call in that healing. So it's kind of doing double duty. So I've just carved in the candle here what I want to release, and also setting the intention to bring in healing with the colour of the candle. I am going to use an oil on this candle before I burn it, and if I was in a pinch I might use an oil that was pre-prepared, such as this one, which is Blade Over Shield by Joey Morris again, but in this circumstance I'm going to use one that I think works for this. This is my own blend that I just use an old Neal's Yard bottle to bottle up, and this is a blend that I created for work with the Morrigan. So I'm going to anoint this candle. I release trauma. I release the pain and the heartache and the grief. I allow myself the grace, hold space for myself, allow myself the grace to move through this. I hold space for myself to release this trauma and this pain. I call in energies of healing. As I burn this candle, I release the trauma, I release the grief, I release all pain and suffering that I am feeling, and I call in healing energy so that I may be comforted, so that I may be better able to hold space for myself as I grieve, so that I may be able to be there for my children, for my family, as I continue with life and its many demands. As I will it, so shall it be. I'm just going to use the bottom of this candle here that I'm going to be using in a minute for something else, and I'm going to stick it in the base like that. Then I'm just going to pop it in my cauldron as well and watch it the whole time. This is a mug that is like a little black cauldron, and I've filled it with some water, and I've already cleansed it and energized it for this working. So I'm going to add in some herbs and my little floating candle, and this is going to be more of the kind of healing. I'm also going to be meditating and holding these pieces here, this shell, because I feel like it connects me to the energy of water and release that is really important right now, and also this acorn. It's an empty cup, and I feel it very much relates to the energy of what it is that I'm grieving and releasing right now. So first of all, I'm going to add some mugwort, just a little bit, and I'm going to be using this for divination and for clarity of sight, and with an intention that any revelations or healing can also come through my dreams. So again, I'm just speaking out my intentions out loud and imbuing my energy into the herb before placing it into the water in the cauldron mug. Next up, I have some lavender here, which I use really frequently in baths and oils, and I just feel like this is such a versatile herb, but here I'm using it for a sense of peace and obviously for healing and for calmness And next up I have some pink rose petals, which I also frequently use in healing baths and oils, and I just feel like this is such a beautiful herb for self-love and healing, and to honour myself and to know my own worth and value, and to honour my beauty, to hold space for myself, and to really feel that love that I have innately deep down inside myself as I process these emotions. So I'm just using that same skewer just to stir up the herbs in the water. Finally, I'm going to add 3 of these beautiful whole jasmine flowers, and these are going to expand and bloom in the water, and this really is for loyalty and faithfulness to myself, and a understanding of my own strength, resilience, my ability to fight and to prevail through the pain and the grief and the suffering. I had kind of run out of space in my small mug here. You could use a larger bowl, and I have done in previous workings, but if I had a little bit more space I might add some marigold or calendula flowers or some chamomile, also for that healing, self-love and promoting peace. So once again I'm going to use some more of my personal blend of oil that I created alongside the Morrigan, and I use this for a number of different intentions. Again, with the same intention, I am anointing my soy wax tea light and just imbuing it with the energy and the intention of healing, so that as I watch the flame and the candle flickering within the water, that it promotes that sense of peace and healing, and that as I meditate upon the flame, that it helps to support the feelings that I am going through and allow me to really move through all of those emotions in a very organic and natural way. So I am lighting the candles to burn at the same time, because I feel that this spell is really working to do both things simultaneously, to allow myself to release the pain, the grief, the trauma, and move through all of those emotions, whilst also bringing in that feeling of healing and really understanding that I am there holding space for myself and giving myself the space in order to express those emotions and really feel them. And I feel like doing this kind of working between the dark moon and the new moon is a really, really auspicious time for this working. So I am spending some time with both of the candles, allowing myself to feel the flame, the warmth, and to look at the beautiful shapes within the cauldron mug. I'm also holding and meditating with my acorn and the shell, and I also have some oracle cards from the Yoni Oracle. I drew these cards a few days ago and now they seem even more pertinent. I spent some time scrying into the black cauldron mug with the herbs and the candle, and I kept being reminded of a yolk and an egg, and I kept seeing some faces as well within the bowl. I would like to use a larger bowl next time, however I did choose this one specifically because it was black and I wanted to use the water to scry into. I put on some meditative music, spent some time at my altar space and also sitting down, journaling and doing some art magic as well to release and to process some emotions. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope that you found it somewhat helpful or interesting if you are looking to do a similar spell working. As I said, you can take elements of this spell and create your own, use correspondences or your own correspondences, and create something that is your own, that works for you. If you did enjoy the video, please do like the video and share it with anyone who you think it would be helpful for. And if you'd like to see more from me, witchcraft and tarot related content, then please do think about subscribing, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to receive notifications when I create and upload videos just like this. Thank you again for joining me, and I hope that you stay well and safe, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video really soon. Take care everyone. Bye.